Yo, 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 you came to the right place because it's time once again to do some delving into the dungeon of the Doctors of Doom Fantasy Football Podcast, where we have what is hopefully a banger of a show for you this week. I am your host, as always, Alex the Shark Sparks, and joining me on this esteemed panel is my co-host, Mitch the Top Dog Black, and our producer, Vinny the Church Mouse Santucci. Say hello, everyone out there, boys.
Hello.
Hello. Ow, ow, ow. Oh, man.
Oh, is it your foot?
I think I hurt myself.
Yeah,
Is it your foot?
I don't know. My wrist, my knee, my hamstring? I'm not sure. Something.
Yeah, a lot of injuries, so let's go ahead and talk about them. A lot of NFL news to get to today, gentlemen. Hope you're doing well. So we'll dive right into it. Definitely some big injuries, but the biggest one's got to be Sir Joseph Burrow, out for 3 months with a grade 3 turf toe injury. Not so fun fact: 20% of people who've had to have that kind of surgery never play in the NFL again. Now, obviously, he's a quarterback. He has a higher chance than someone like a running back or a wide receiver having this injury. But that's how big of a deal it was. That's why, we kind of joked that, well, not on the air, but we joked that, hey, Purdy played through a toe injury and Burrow's out 3 months. Well, his is pretty severe, it seems like. But his backup did come in. Browning came in through 3 picks, but then still won the game. So, man, talk about the Jaguars being cooked as a team. It is worth noting, though, that in 2023, Browning played 7 games while Burrow was hurt. During those 7 games, he was a top 8 fantasy QB. He was on pace for 4,500 yards. So, I mean, there's still value in that offense, potentially. I mean, obviously not as much with Joe, but still some value there, potentially. It is interesting, though. Higgins had a higher points per game than Chase during that stretch with...
We like that.
Do what now?
We like that. Sorry, I didn't mean...
Yeah.
I was just trying to
So with Browning as QB, so for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins owners out there, now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, because if you watch the game this weekend, Chase was absolutely his primary target, but that was without him getting to practice, as QB1. So we'll see how it goes moving forward, but worth keeping an eye on. But yeah, so obviously lots of injuries. We'll start with the big one, the Joe Burrow injury. What are your thoughts, guys? Anything to say?
You could go for it first, Vinny.
Yeah,
I'm sure I'm going to defend
the Joe Burrow injury.
Yes, I
think it's so funny. It's I think of Higgins versus Chase, and my first thought was dude, Higgins is a massive human. It's probably just a chuck it and pray kind of guy. Oh crap, Higgins is down there somewhere, where Chase is kind of a route runner and a technician, and you got to hit him in his spots, and Higgins is just, let's just throw a fade. But no, I mean, obviously it really sucks. I had kind of this thought about the Joe Burrow injury history, and I'm like, dang, turf toe is no joke. It's not just turf toe. I don't know why they don't call it a torn ligament. They turf toe makes it sound like he got a rug burn.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It is a much more serious injury than just my toe is, because it sounds like your toe just got burned, you know what I mean? I stubbed my toe, not stubbed, rubbed the skin off my toe or something. That is not what it is.
Yeah, it's basically the ACL equivalent of the big toe, and if anybody's ever had a sore big toe, it's super super important. But I went back and looked at his injury history. It's torn rib cartilage, ACL, PCL, MCL, meniscus. He has a wrist ligament, and then he has this, and I'm like, dang, something's going on with this guy's ligaments that they just tear. The fact that he's had so many is pretty crazy. But yeah, I didn't realize until watching quarterback, and this is not to say that I am on any level of Joe Burrow or have the same access to healthcare, but I actually have the same wrist injury that he has, and I went and saw 5 specialists in Atlanta at Emory, which is one of the better healthcare institutions in the Southeast, and nobody wanted to do surgery on it because there were no good surgeries for it. So I was dang, I can't believe he came back from that. And then in quarterback, you see him kind of wiggling his wrist all the time. And I'm like, it'll never feel good. I know what that feels like. So now he's gonna have this turf toe. I don't know, did the Bengals just waste Joe Burrow's career because they could never protect him?
Speaking of not protecting him, just to throw this out there are 100 million obese people in America, and the Bengals can't find 5 to block for Joe Burrow. I thought this meme was kind of funny.
The first time I saw that meme, by the way, was from my wife, who, if there's a shameless plug for the show Quarterback, watch it with your wife, and then she will all of a sudden be interested in at least 4 players every year. So
Go ahead,
It's
Mitch.
interesting to it's just interesting to me how like no one's saying, oh, that contract they gave Burrow was a waste. But if Purdy gets hurt tomorrow, is anyone gonna say that contract was still good or not? So it's fascinating to me how we just kind of like pick and choose where we want to have like selective outreach or whatever. And it's like, well, Burrow goes down, not a big deal. It's like whatever, it's not his fault. They couldn't get guys to block him, couldn't do anything. It's like at some point where Burrow has to have some kind of accountability in some of this. So, I mean, it's very unfortunate for the like if this was an Eagles franchise, no one would care, right? Everyone would be like, ha ha ha, take the L this year. You guys are gonna do bad. But it's like the Bengals and Burrow, and they're kind of lovable. So it's like, I don't know. This one's tough. And like, also, there been any reports that like, like, okay, this is a very bad example, but like T.O. broke his leg in like 90 different places, right? And they're like, oh, he's done for a year and a half, and he came back 4 months, 5 months later and played in a Super Bowl. Like that's an extreme example. Is there any realm of possibility that he can heal faster? Recovery's going well, rehab's going well, and he's back in 2 months, or is that not possible? I'm not sure on the injury.
I mean, I'm no doctor, no expert, so I'm just have to go with what the talking heads on TV tell me because
Yeah.
they're the ones that actually have access to medical personnel, and pretty much everything I have heard has been that it is a minimum 3 month injury, not an estimated 3 months, but a minimum 3 months, which tells me that it's what is that in football terms? That's 12 to 15 weeks. So
Yeah.
if anything, he's not going to be back until the playoffs. And honestly, if the Bengals are actually doing well enough, they make the playoffs. Are you really going to try to bring Burrow back out there? If not, don't just let the guy finish that's doing the work. So I think he's done for the
So,
year.
so then if muse me for a second here. Oh my God, my screen's just all closed. Where would you drop um Chase and Higgins? So like right now, the wide receivers going into week 3 at the top of the list is like CD, Chase, Puka, Amon-Ra, Neighbors. Does Chase drop below all of those guys? Jefferson,
I
Nico,
well, definitely not
Amon-Ra,
Jefferson, which we'll get to in a
Puka.
minute. Definitely not Jefferson, but I don't think I drop him that much yet until I see what happens because like I said, you can't really judge the first game when a guy comes in off the bench because he's not expecting to play, right? The Bengals
For
already had
sure.
a game plan he wasn't expecting to play. Jamar Chase had 16 targets this week with the backup QB playing most of the game. But that's probably not going to happen every week, right? In a
Yeah.
world where it does, and he gets 16 targets, then Jamar Chase is not only wide receiver one, but he's even more higher expectations than he had before, right? So, and last week, Jamar Chase didn't do that well, but he's playing with better defense. Like it's hard to say. Like I want to see one full week before I see how far to drop him. That being said, he is still one of the premier players, and like I said, the stat that I gave during the 7 games that Browning played as the starter for the Bengals 2 years ago when Burrow was out, he was on pace for 4,500 yards passing. So if I tell you that the quarterback's on pace for 4,500 yards, it's probably pretty decent. I gotta take this phone call, guys. Sorry, I'll be right back.
You're good. Is Vinny, you here, right?
yeah, no,
And so my question,
I
here,
think
let me
I
rephrase
think
it.
the top is weird. Like I do think he falls back into that like tier 2. Like maybe okay, the top right now is just weird because it's like you drafted these guys super high. Like look at Brian Thomas. Anything after like Puka hasn't been really living up to the hype. You could even argue like Nico Collins. I think he's more in that realm now. He's in the Drake London and the Brian Thomas, whoever is immediately after that. He's more of like this maybe 6 to 10 range rather than the 1 to 5 range.
Okay, pretend we haven't. Okay, this is a bad example again. I don't know how to do this question, but bear with me. I apologize. Let's pretend this is preseason, and Burrow goes down in week 3 of the preseason. Correct? We have not drafted yet. Okay, so you're saying Nico's around 3, which probably is a little late in our league, but Amon St. Brown went the end of round 2. Nico went round 3. Puka went early round 3, right? The 4th pick of round 3. Then it gets into the London, Thomas, Higgins. We can take Higgins out of here, but it goes London, Thomas, AJ Brown, Mike Evans, Lad McConkey. Like, does Chase fall below a Mike Evans, AJ? I know AJ Brown's really hard to say now because people are starting to see how bad of a fantasy player he truly is. He's a great football player, but he's a terrible fantasy player. But before the,
Yeah.
before the, so Is there a world where like McConkey's going ahead of Chase? Like,
My answer is no. So
I don't think so.
yeah.
okay,
For context, I had 6 wide receivers in my tier 1 of wide receiver.
interesting.
Obviously that's going to be different now, but going into the season, I had Chase, Lamb, Jefferson, St. Brown, Nakua, Collins, and Neighbors. I had those 6 as my tier 1 wide receivers. Um,
Yep,
so I would probably have moved Chase down to 5 or 6 as opposed to being 1, which is where he was when
gotcha.
I drafted. But he would not have dropped down to the tier 2, which I had being London, Thomas Brown, Higgins, etc. So
Vinny, where
Yeah, I think
does
I do think it's a little strange that like I'm sitting here trying to relate it to like Justin Jefferson with Darnold and JJ McCarthy, and he's been like wide receiver 2 or 3 off the board both years. But I think there is a difference between a guy that you expect to come in and start and a backup. And Browning is a true backup. He's not a guy that you sign to start in the NFL.
he's
But
not,
yeah, I'd have to.
but he's got experience with the team, which I think is a big deal. Like
the
he
guy?
he
Yeah,
has a
sorry.
lot of experience with this team, with this roster,
Yeah,
which I think is better than
huge.
just some random backup off the bench.
Absolutely. Here's my
Right.
second question.
Yeah.
Follow up to that is the rumor of who they might be bringing in would be fantasy gold for all the Bengals. Whether it's Cousins or Carr, both of those guys have proven that they can create fantasy gold players around them. So I'm not. That's interesting to me. But the thing I'll follow up question is where? Okay, you're Vinny. You're picking in the middle of the second round, eighth pick of the second round. James Cook just goes off the board to Professor Chaos. You're now sitting there with none of the QBs are there except for Hurts maybe. So Vinny, Chase Brown, Bucky Irving, Kenneth Walker, and then it drops for like a whole round to Chuba Hubbard, Amari Hampton, and James Conner. What does that do? Like again, back to the hypothetical. No Joe Burrow. What are we all? Because I probably had Chase Brown. I think seventh or eighth overall running back on my board. What does that do for you guys in Chase Brown?
I mean, you can look at the way that I set my roster. I've already benched him for this week.
Oh wow.
I I don't know. I don't think I have a hard time thinking that they're going to respect Chase and Higgins as much. And Chase Brown hasn't done much with Burrow in the backfield either. So, yeah, dude, I was glassing uh, Chase Brown. I had him pretty high up. I had him above Cook. I had him above GT. Um, I probably would have taken him as a sixth or seventh running back off the board, and now I'm sitting there with him, thinking, "Oh my God, this is terrible." So I don't know. Time will tell. Like I just don't know what their offense is going to look like. It's really difficult. It's weird that like he hasn't looked good, even though they scored a ton of points this past week too. So um, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
optimistic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I,
for
I
me, a lot of it depends on Burrow, is what I'm trying to get at. It's like I'm not drafting Higgins in the third round without Burrow. It's just not happening. Go on, Alex.
yeah, I mean, I definitely think I think Higgins and Chase Brown. Chase Brown certainly takes the biggest hit of the three. I had him at my RB 11 going into the season, so that's a low end RB 1. I've got him now probably more as a low end RB 2 instead of a low end RB 1.
Damn. Yeah,
So it's a pretty big drop, just because like
huge drop.
he's still startable for me, because I mean he's still the guy. Like no one else is going to get those carries. But if they do start to face teams, they're like, hey, we're going to make you beat us. Passing it, we're going to take away the run from your less experienced quarterback. That can really hurt Chase Brown, who's not really a premier runner in the first place. Um, yeah, so for me, I think of the Bengals skill players, the one who is the hurt the most, in my opinion, is Chase Brown. I think they all take a small hit, but I think Chase Brown is the one who takes the biggest hit.
Yeah, I can actually agree with that, Alex. I think I think he takes a pretty big hit. It's a really tough pill to swallow because I was all in on Chase Brown in a lot of leagues. I mean, even like let's look. CBS right now has Chase Brown consensus RB 13 for week 3, but then you have him as number 17, number 12, and number 16 across the 3 different analysts. So yeah, kind of what Alex was like drops to that like low end RB 2.
Um, yeah, I would like to also address elephant in the room of Miles taking Burrow first QB. Alex, can you click the thing I sent in the leak, the stats, please? I would like everyone to see this.
Where did you send it?
I sent it in, I said Vinny's personal media. I sent it, who can see this, everyone messages. I sent it to you, I think. I
Oh,
sent it to
gotcha. The,
everyone.
the Zoom chat. Yeah, okay.
Oh, the
Yeah,
chat.
Zoom chat. Yeah, sorry. So go to time frame 2019, please.
So recent then. Oh, that's
Stats. Sorry, then 2019. I go to QB and go all players, please. Okay. Who do you notice at one?
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar.
All right. So now look all the way down. You see the list. Cool. Josh Allen's like 11 down there. Now let's go to 2020. What do you see?
Well, it's going to be an even number, so Joe Burrow's going to move up. Because we established Dak plays odd years, Joe Burrow plays even years.
Where is Lamar on this list?
Down here at
Oh, yeah, a little lower.
8. I don't know.
Below Ryan Tannehill, Kyler Murray. Okay, let's go to 2021. Where's Lamar on this list?
Is this the year he got hurt?
This is the year he got hurt.
Or this
So,
the year I drafted him, maybe? I don't remember.
Either one, doesn't matter. Let's go to the next year. Way below Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, Carson Wentz. These like not even the top 12 QB. Go to 2022 now.
Okay, we've gone through a bunch of old years. Can we make our point here, bud?
Yeah. Where's Lamar on this list?
I don't know, but he's below my boy Kirk Thuggins.
He's really far down. He's like way down there. Okay, let's go to 2023 real quick.
So it's
Well,
almost like
23
he got
is still-
better with time, is what you're saying?
No, he has not been a top 10 quarterback except for 2 years out of the last 5. And you guys are all like, wow, how could you not obviously take Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson? How could it not be obvious? Because he doesn't finish in the top 6 most of the time. He's either a win your league, lose your league. This is the guy who you're finding another QB in 3 or 4 weeks, or he's winning you a league. So everyone in the pool who's like, I can't believe Burrow got taken first, come on. Let's take a chill pill here and realize Josh Allen, sure, you guys can make that argument because if you go back and look at all the years, Josh Allen's in like the top 4 every year. So I get that. But at the same time, I did truly have Josh Allen lower. But everyone's like, oh man, how can you not take Lamar and Allen 1 and 2 is the clear cut obvious? You guys are literally going off of week 1 bias. This Lamar Jackson has only finished a top 10 QB 2 out of the last 6 years. So let's chill, everybody. Let's just chill.
I mean, I would also argue that Joe Burrow has the same stat line, right? So,
But at least Joe Burrow in the last couple years has shown the propensity to put up these numbers without having to use his legs, and then he gets injured as opposed to the.
He doesn't
But that's
use
the
his
point.
legs.
Is he should have a less injury risk than a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen. Like, did you see how Josh Allen ran to the sideline? I'd never seen a player do that before. That looked scary. That looked like he broke like bones in his face or something. Did you guys see that? He like ran to the sideline and was like blank stared and like was trying to. He was like touching his face everywhere. And oh, by the way, next week he's going to be playing with like some protective visor. It'd be interesting to see how that affects him. But like these running quarterbacks are much higher risk of probability of getting hurt. And Miles takes the guy who does not run at all and is the closest thing to Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees that could just put up pocket passing numbers and be in a top 3 QB, and that guy gets hurt. That's just so unlucky. Miles just drafts the wrong guys the wrong years, and it's so unfortunate. Like, you go back and look at it, it's like, yeah, you might not like Lamar because Lamar can lose you your league. Case in point out. Oh, let's rewind to 2021. I went Lamar over Josh Allen. Vinny made fun of me in the draft going, you're such a homer. You're such a homer. That's what Vinny yelled at me in the draft. And I was like, you're right. And guess what? I went Lamar and it costed me a championship giving Matt, who had Derrick Henry in the first round, came back on the turn and took Josh Allen and won the league. If I had just gone Josh Allen over Lamar that year, I win the league again, and Matt has one. So that's a plus or minus 2 championships against my biggest competition. So it's like, I know Lamar as well as anyone. I drafted Lamar and Allen both their rookie years. The difference is now, it's just like back in the years when I fell in love with the QB like Rodgers, I was winning. Then it transitioned to my luck years, wasn't winning. Now it's back to transitioning to actually liking QBs that are good. So when Matt says that stuff like, oh, I can't believe you guys actually buy Mitch's BS of his QB rankings, hear me out. Do you guys understand my love for Rodgers, right? It's well documented, correct? My love of Rodgers. Okay, why don't I have him number 1? Because a lot of times I don't want my blindness of my love of players to actually affect my ability to win in fantasy. So yes, I would have Lamar and Josh Allen 1 and 2 every year because I blindly love them because they are the new QBs that I have fallen in love with, just like Luck and Rodgers. But if I want to actually diagnose it, I did have Burrow and Jaden ahead of both of them. And I truly believe that. And I promised to everyone, I truly meant it. Matt's sending me, come on, bro, come on. Tell me. I'm like, no, like, I'm trying not to put my blindness in front of me. So I did.
Yeah.
And so that's all I'm trying to explain. And at the
My,
same time, like, Lamar's reasoning is real. There is a real logical explanation to why someone would pass on Lamar.
my only counter argument to that, and
Sure.
it's going to bite me a little bit, is that Lamar threw 41 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, like just a god interception to touchdown ratio.
For sure.
My only counter argument is like when you look at this list, like I agree, like that's why like when we talk about like when I keep saying 3 or 4, I hadn't decided if I liked Burrow or Jaden Daniels better. But the reason like I like the other two is like when I talk about regression, like in order for Joe Burrow to do what to finish as the second as his 450 point quarterback, he had to throw 5,000 yards, 43 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. Like it's one of the reasons why Alex looks like he's hitting on Baker again this year. I didn't love Baker because I'm like, well, what are the chances that Baker does that again or gets better? They're probably not great, but like Jaden Daniels, he can improve on that. Jared Goff had like an MVP type season. I didn't think he was going to get better than that to move to the next tier. I expect some of these pocket quarterbacks that throw almost 50 touchdowns to go back to reality a little bit, where a guy like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, they have staying power in that top 5 because of their rushing ability.
Very
And that
fair.
Jaden Daniels, like all Jaden Daniels had to do is take a small step forward, and he's the new Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. He hasn't done it yet, but that's why I'm like, I agree. Like I had him really high compared to the others. Like where I love Jalen Hurts, and we were like, listen, he was rock bottom last year. Apparently we were wrong on that take, Mitch, because he's thrown for like 100 yards 2 weeks in a row.
Well,
But
I think it's a couple things just to jump in, guys, because I think the NFL is a league with so much parity and change. Things can change overnight in the NFL. So I think going back 5 years is too big of a sample size. I think you really have to look at the last 2-3 years when you're really gauging how people are doing. It's kind of like how we were all off Mahomes, even though Mahomes 3 years ago was the QB1, right? So I just think it's like what you've done for me recently is the most important thing. And the last 2 years, Lamar has been a top guy, and nothing that we saw over the last 2 years and going into this year made us think that would change. So I think that's why. But I'll let you finish what you're saying, Vinny, and then I'd like to try to refocus the podcast so we can get back to all the content.
I just think like
Well,
that's
we were
like
on
the brunt
Burrow.
of the
That's pretty
argument. The
focused.
brunt of the,
We were not
the
on
brunt of
Burrow.
the
We just spent
argument is not
10
that-
minutes on Lamar Jackson. That's not on Burrow.
Yeah.
We're on Burrow being
No,
taken above Lamar and Allen. That's what we were talking.
Yeah, but
Go on.
that was 2 weeks ago's conversation. This week we're talking about the injuries. I didn't
That
say
was literally in the text last night.
I didn't bash anyone for taking Burrow because he got injured. What? That's silly. I feel
Vinny
bad for
literally
Miles.
said Mitch dodges another bullet because other people took the wrong picks or whatever.
Well,
he
because
said.
that
No, because
you said you would have taken
had
Burrow.
one.
Yeah.
Yes, but also at the same time, like if we go back and rank everyone's top 4 picks, you're not picking your first guy you want every year. That first person's probably going 1 overall.
No, yeah.
Okay.
The only
Yeah,
reason I said that is because you admitted last year that you took Josh Allen in the second because I took Hurts, who was your
For sure.
QB1, and
For sure.
Allen was there. So it was just like a joke of like, you dodged a bullet because you had told me that Burrow was your QB1. So if you're sitting there in the second round and you have your pick of the litter, you're taking Burrow.
100%.
It wasn't that I thought it was a bad rank. It was more of like, Mitch dodges a bullet, LOL, because like someone else had Burrow ranked number 1, which in the grand scheme of things, it's not controversial, but it is against the grain, right? So the fact that you took Lamar as like the third QB available.
Lamar's gone
It's
as the
just
third
like-
QB. Lamar's gone the third QB available in the last 2 years in our draft.
Yeah, and that's fair because, like you said, he does have that, number 1 or number 8 or number 1 or number 8. That's why Josh Allen is an anomaly to me. Like, how do you just finish in the top 5 every year?
Every year.
All right,
Josh
moving
Allen's
on,
top
because we
4
started
guy.
the show talking about injuries, and we've only gotten to 1, and there's a lot more. So, other quarterback injuries. J.J. McCarthy. Told you guys going in, I didn't think he was going to be good. He's been bad for 2 weeks, and now he's got a high ankle sprain, going to be out for the next 2 to 4 weeks. Carson Wentz is expected to be the starter, who didn't even play in the preseason. But, guys, does this help the pass catcher value in Minnesota? Because Minnesota is a wasteland right now as far as fantasy value goes. Does the injury to McCarthy and Carson Wentz coming in help guys like JJ, like Hawkinson, like Addison / once he's back, or Thielen, whoever is in that role now? Does JJ McCarthy being out and Carson Wentz coming in help the value for Minnesota fantasy players?
So I have an unpopular opinion. I'm sorry, Mitch, just to jump in. I don't think their value changes very much. I think with Aaron Jones going down, Jordan Mason's value goes up because they're going to have to rely on some sort of run game to just get the offense going. I think that this, if anything, like a 5 to 10% boost immediately, but the long term is going to be very hurtful to the team. If he's out for 4 weeks, you lose 4 weeks of JJ McCarthy just trying to figure it out. So when you need Justin Jefferson and Hawkinson to step up, or Addison to step up,
that's a good point.
I think the progression of JJ McCarthy is going to go down because he's not getting this real-time game action. So I think it might help Justin Jefferson like a point or 2 points across the next 3-4 games. But then come playoff time, I think it's going to hurt him a little bit more. So I don't think McCarthy is that bad. Like, we have to realize, like, this second game, like, we're not sitting here bashing Cam Ward. Cam Ward's look terrible, right? So I don't think he's the truth. We all expected him to come in and put up Darnold numbers. He still can get better. He hasn't looked great. I admit that. I'm not saying he's great. I just think it's too early to tell on him. But I do think it affects the long-term prognosis of the entire Vikings offense.
So that's great. Three quick points. One, that's 100% right. Is like it depends on how long Wentz is in, and it's like to expand on what you just said is like, how much has McCarthy really improved in 3 years of playing? He hasn't really played at all, and like if he's improved this year from what he was last year, supposed to be starting before he had the leg injury, and they brought in Darnold. Like where was he last year? If this year's supposed to, like, so yeah, that's a huge point. Second is there's no way in this reality of a world that we live in that I don't think Justin Jefferson has had a private conversation with the people in the Vikings organization to go get his boy back, Kirk Thuggins. There's just no way I don't think that hasn't happened or will happen this week. There has to be a realistic, like, it's not even like, oh, hey, you were gone for a year, welcome back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just go right back in the offense, and then JJ becomes the number one fantasy wide receiver again. The third point that I'll make, the last one is this is scripted again. Like, if you told me Darnold's accolades going into last year, and I thought Darnold was going to be good in this offense, Wentz, if healthy, has much better accolades and throwing ability than Darnold ever had. So, like, is Wentz the new Darnold? Or I guess Danny Dimes is the new Darnold. So is Wentz the new Danny Dimes? Like, are they just about to take off? Because, like, we've all agreed that this is one of the most loaded rosters, and they're just missing a QB. So if Wentz could at least be at somewhat 80% of Darnold, 90% of Darnold, we're back to seeing a NFC champion title contending Vikings team again. So it's very fascinating to me that, like, I think a lot of people got value of these Vikings players lower in the draft because McCarthy was supposed to be the QB. But if Wentz and Cousins are the QB, how much higher would a lot of these Vikings players gone in a draft beforehand? So it's like maybe some of these Vikings fantasy owners got massive value from that injury. And yeah, back to what you said about the running backs. Again, I wanted the Broncos or the Vikings tandem backfield. I didn't care. I just didn't know what it was going to cost me in the draft per round. And I think Jordan Mason's going to be a top 8-6 running back.
Well, yeah, I mean, I mean, definitely now his value goes way up. Aaron Jones was put on IR today, so Aaron Jones is out for at least 4 weeks.
Well, I mean, saying even without Aaron Jones, I'm saying
they're expected to go out and sign Cam Akers to come in and be the passing down back because, I mean,
Yikes.
Jordan Mason can't catch. I mean, but other than that.
Yeah. But if I were Jefferson, is there no way I'm not having a private meeting this week or already had being like, yo, there's my favorite quarterback in the league is sitting on the bench in Atlanta. We have the cap room. Like, we legitimately have the cap room. Bring him back.
I saw a headline today on the same point. It says 5 years later, Carson Wentz actually gets to throw to Justin Jefferson. If you guys don't remember, Carson Wentz was the quarterback of the Eagles when the Eagles drafted Jalen Reagor, one pick before the Vikings drafted Justin Jefferson. So it's kind of funny to think, like, how would Carson Wentz's career be if he had Justin Jefferson in Philadelphia and then instead of Jalen Rager? But now he gets to throw to Justin Jefferson, so it's kind of a
And,
fun
and this
little.
offense with a great line, just as long as Wentz is healthy, I feel like this is a massive upgrade.
All right. I mean, I agree. I mean, it can't be worse. Like,
For sure.
I heard it put really well today. That everyone's kind of focused on like, oh, well, it's only been 2 games. Well, it's not been 2 games. It's been a year and 2 games, and now he's proven to be injury prone. Like that's part of life. That's part of football. There's some guys who are really good but just get hurt and don't get to play. So which I don't think he's really good at football. But even if he is, like, if you can't stay healthy, if you can't stay on the field, that's a problem. I mean, look at the Bengals with Burrow. Look at the Cowboys with Dak. How much better could those franchises have been over the past few years if their quarterback stayed healthy and played full seasons? Anyway, moving on, more injury news. Another quarterback who's hurt, Jaden Daniels. He is listed as questionable. We don't really have much to say on that one. We don't know if he is or is not going to play, but obviously if he doesn't play, I think that seriously hurts the value of pretty much everyone involved in that offense. But speaking of QBs, and we've talked about some running QBs like Jaden Daniels, like Lamar Jackson. Question, gentlemen, don't look because that's cheating. Which quarterback do you think has the most rushing yards so far this season?
I thought you were going to say rushing TDs, and that was going to be a shot at my Jonathan Taylor.
No, that'd be funny.
I thought you're like rushing. I was like, here it comes. Oh, yards. Oh, Alex went nice. Okay.
Rushing yards, gentlemen. Which quarterback has the most rushing yards among quarterbacks this season?
I mean, I'm going to guess the
Great.
person that would probably lead the league in it by the end of the year, and that's Fields. I don't know how much I know he got hurt, but like
I'm
how
gonna
much.
I'm gonna I'm gonna say it's Patrick Mahomes only because every game I've watched, I just feel like he's had 50 or 60 yards rushing.
Ding, ding, ding. Number
Um,
one answer. They cannot run the ball to save their lives. So, and they can't pass either because all their wide receivers are hurt or bad. So Patrick Mahomes currently where's quarterbacks at? If you sort by rushing yards, Patrick Mahomes leading rusher amongst quarterbacks,
wow.
which is just a
Oh, well, I
wild
would have been
stat.
right if Fields didn't get hurt. Come on now. Come on.
Possibly,
Fields
That
is
is
second.
but he did get hurt, and
Fields
that's
is,
part of the game.
it is.
But yes, so keeping the conversation going here, talking about the Chiefs. Is Kelsey washed? I mean, Mahomes is having a run because he can't complete passes to people, and well, in week 1, Kelsey injured Worthy, and then in week 2, when everyone's like, okay, they really need Kelsey, Worthy's out, Rice is out, this is gonna be his time to shine. Kelsey loses them the game. He gets hit in the hands on the 1 yard line, and instead of making the catch, decides to tip it up in the air so the Eagles' defensive back can intercept the ball, and the Chiefs lose by 3. He literally lost them the game. Gentlemen, is Kelsey washed?
My
Um,
answer is yes. I watched him a lot last year, and I was like, gosh, he looks terrible. He looks slower. He had a lot of uncharacteristic drops, or where he would stop a route. Like him and Mahomes didn't seem to be on the same page. He looked slower. He wasn't as open, and then he comes out and he's like, "Oh yeah, I wasn't feeling great last year. This is the best year ever. I feel so good. I feel like my young self again." And he's been pretty bad 2 games in a row, and I'm like, dude, your sample size has been not great to be the number one receiving option for Patrick Mahomes. So yeah, I'm going to say yes. I don't think he's that good. I think he at this current state, like I mean, look at what he's old. I get it, but like Zach Ertz is still putting up some numbers and still making plays. Like Kelsey is on a very quick decline, in my opinion.
I'm trying to find it. I had it the other day. I was looking at it. I always look at this stat. Most double covered players pre snap. And Neighbors is so much higher than the rest of the league. And then I think I'm trying to find it, but I remember reading Kelsey was in the top 12. So I think he's doing his part. But yes, he's old and he's playing in a tough position, on that line. And I don't know, it's a good question. How much is he doing his part in drawing coverage? Whereas how much the other wide receivers aren't doing their part? It's tough. I don't know. It's a good question. But obviously, the Chiefs, with his snap share count or whatever, believe he's pulling his weight. But yeah, I don't know if he's washed or not. It just could be age, and it's not. You know what I mean? Like he could still produce, but just not at the producer level. Like if Kelsey wasn't the last name Kelsey and he just had the last name Okonkwo, or Njoku or something else, we'd be like, dang, this wide receiver, this tight end's pretty good. But because it's Kelsey, I feel like maybe the
Well, it's
bar
not
is
just
a little
because
bit
it's
too
because of
high.
those two big plays, right? Like he has had a
True.
bonehead play 2 weeks in a row that have cost his team. His team is 0-2, and there's a world where he doesn't injure Worthy week 1 and they win that game, and there's absolutely a world where he catches that pass or even doesn't catch it, just doesn't knock it up in the air for the DB and they win that game because they're already in field goal range, right? Like that they're going to tie the game right there. Worst case scenario if they don't turn the football over, and because he tips the ball up to the DBs, the ball gets turned over. They don't get a chance to kick a 12-yard field goal.
I'm looking at some of the next gen stats right now. I didn't really have time. I didn't really prep for this, but like off of 10 targets, he has 122 yards and a TD. That's actually pretty good. So maybe they just need to target Kelsey more before we figure out if he's washed or not. I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, this was more me just fan the flames.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk
Yeah,
again, but I will say catches matter though, right? Like when you look at like
For sure.
actual receptions, like because when you consider that they are missing all of their receivers, when you sort by receptions, he is way down the list at only 6 catches, which I think is a big deal. Like yes, yardage wise, sure he's up there and that's great, but a lot of this 108 yards, like he had one 40-yard catch in week 1, and like that's a lot of those yards.
and
So like.
where he was like absolutely wide open on a blown coverage. I'm not saying that blown coverages don't count, but when you have a sample size of 6 catches, a blown coverage kind of counts a little bit more,
Yeah, they need him though. You're right. It's probably
That's
more of the.
but that's what
need him.
scares me, Mitch. Is they need him desperately, and he still only has 10
He can't
targets.
produce. Yeah,
right?
that's
Like,
terrible.
David Njoku is in an offense where there are 3 other decent pass catchers in Tillman, Judy, and Fannin, and he's got 11 targets. He's got
So then
3
he
people
has
he's
less-
competing when he has more targets.
I have a
He
question.
has less
then.
catches than Dallas Goedert, and Dallas Goedert played one
Hey.
game with a quarterback who's thrown for 250 total yards.
Did either of you know that Jatavian Sanders existed? Because he's got more targets.
Yeah. My question then is, for the Rashee Rice owners, whoever they may be, is he a savior? Like a guy who comes in and changes an offense? Tyreek Hill's a bad example, but Tyreek Hill like 4 years ago or whatever, just a guy who makes the whole
Absolutely.
offense look different?
I think either
Okay.
Rice or Worthy are going to come back and take this over. Whichever one gets healthy and can play first. Not that. Well, I guess one's coming back from a suspension,
mean,
the other injury,
yeah.
but whichever one gets to come back and play at 100% first, that guy is going to take over and is going to be an absolute monster and can be a league winner. I don't know which one it's going to be. Because Worthy may try to play, but it's going to be one of those where he tries to play but isn't 100%. So it really just becomes, if Worthy can get on the field and establish himself as the guy before Rice comes back, then no. But if he can't and then Rice comes back, then it's going to be Rice. So we're going to see what happens there. All right, go ahead, Vin.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say I think Rice is gonna be so much better than we all think. When you look at his play style, he's not exciting. Like he's not like a top 15 talent, but he's like a prime Adam Thielen on the Chiefs with Mahomes. Like that dude is just gonna get all the targets. He gets all the short yardage. I just think he's gonna be so good. If the Chiefs continue to look this bad, Rice is, in my opinion, is a savior. Worthy will be okay, but Rice is gonna come back and just explode.
Is there a world where the Chargers are a top 3 defense and the Eagles are a top 3 defense in the NFL?
I think we're seeing it. Yeah. I really truly believe that.
So this is massive overreactions to the Chiefs losing close games to 2 top defenses, and we basically don't have any type of representation of what the Chiefs' offense is what.
Yes, but if
I'm
I want
asking.
clicks on my podcast, I have to say things that are extreme. So, yeah.
Hey,
Speaking
I
of,
still think the Chiefs are missing the playoffs. So
yeah,
that's still my.
hard to start 0-2 and make
That
the
is
playoffs.
so bold.
Speaking of extreme things, obviously the biggest injury news, I don't know if you guys heard, but the biggest injury this past weekend, Sean McVay. He tore a muscle on the sideline during the game. Real tough to see that, the Rams coach there. So hopefully he gets back soon. I don't know if he's going on IR or what, but Sean McVay, big injury loss there. All right.
Yeah, plantar fascia. That's Sean McVay in a boot. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, he'll be rocking the boot. All right, let's move on to some actual other news that isn't injury related. Hey, you know how we used to talk about the best job in sports was Jim Sorgi, Peyton Manning's backup, how he used to have his lawn chair and just chill because he
Still is.
never had to play a game. Once a year he got to play a game, collect his game checks. You know who has that job this year is also a Colt? Their punter. We're 2 games in the season. Their punter hasn't played a snap yet. Colts have not punted. First time in the Super Bowl era that a team has not punted through 2 games. The Colts punter is just chilling and enjoying life.
And let me tell you, if you told me at the beginning of the year that the Indianapolis Colts will have scored at all through 2 weeks, and while playing the number one defense from last year, I mind you, like they made the Broncos look like their defense shouldn't even have been on the same field, and that is crazy to me. Crazy.
Who was the Colts punter during the Peyton Manning years? I know Jim Story's the backup QB, but who was the punter?
Well, during
Was it not our boy Pat McAfee?
Pat McAfee.
There you go. So we got to be on the lookout for whoever the punter is right now. He's gonna have his own national syndicated radio show, and it'd be super popular because he's got nothing else to do but sit there on the sideline and make jokes.
Yeah, it's going to be called No Punts.
No puns.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended.
It writes itself.
Yeah.
All right.
Right itself.
So moving on to more more fantasy football news. Our rookie running backs just cooked, guys. I mean, coming into this year, there was a lot of hype around a lot of different rookie running backs, and quite frankly, they are not working out. So if we go through the list here, Genty, he was the biggest one, and everyone kind of considered him a volume play. But yesterday, he didn't get the volume because he can't pass protect. And if there are games where the Raiders are behind, that's a problem. Because if you can't pass protect, during the 2-minute drill, he was out of the game. And they had the backup, not Zamir White, but the third string running back in there as the pass catching back because they couldn't trust Genty to block. The Raiders are the only team in the league to have a negative yards before contact. What that means is they give the ball to the running back and it gets hit in the backfield. They're the only team in the league that's happening to on average. So if they can't run and he can't be on passing downs, that's a problem. You also have Omarion Hampton. He's just kind of sucked 2 weeks in a row. He had a costly fumble. It wasn't credited to him, but it was his fault. Henderson is also losing ground to Lamondre in New England. Henderson had some issues with pass blocking, so Lamondre got an opportunity, and he played well. And then the biggest one, RJ Harvey had less involvement in week 2. Dobbins continues to shine. But the biggest one, Caleb Johnson, he gave up a TD on special teams, and he's probably just not going to play because, as it stands, Rodgers hates rookies anyway. And if you're giving up TDs, that's just not going to happen. You're not getting any playing time.
I think the problem with rookies is that everybody thinks they're going to be good right out the gate, and there is kind of this like crescendo of involvement and carries that typically happen. I mean, look at like what Cam Scadabo's doing in New York. I'm not saying he's like fantasy relevant, but he has all their red zone carries. His snap count has gone up significantly. Tootin after the Bigsby trade. I think what people forget is like they're going to be good. It's just when and who. Not all of them hit. That's why they're so risky. Like you got to get the right one. I think Hampton still has the clearest pathway to that, even though Genty is getting all the carries. I called, not like to toot my own horn, but I beat the table on or pounded the table on Genty's just the OG, like the new version of Josh Jacobs. Like they're good. The offensive line is trash. So avoid Genty, and what do you know? Same exact thing. So I don't want to say cooked just yet, but Alex, lucky for you, I do think Hampton has the best ceiling still available.
You mentioned that you benched Chase Brown. If you look at my roster, I have now benched Omarion Hampton.
I don't know. After last weekend, I'm beginning to think Alex should take Matt's trade. But the thing is,
was there a trade on the table?
I think
There
Alex
was. He offered me Najee for Najee for Myers, but I considered Myers to be my second best wide receiver. So I didn't want to make the deal, and then sure enough, Myers was my second best wide receiver this week. So I don't think that I want to do it just because like Lad McConkey is third string on his team now.
I don't think you want to do it either. I was just kind of making a joke. But I just don't like what's looking there. Is what's nervous to me is Greg Roman brought in Najee Harris before the draft, so they didn't know they were getting Omarion Hampton, correct? So I'm sure Najee Harris went in free agents. It's like, hey, I'm going to get the carries. This is why I'm coming to the Chargers behind this offensive line. Then they draft running back in the draft. I'm not sure if Najee doesn't have that eye injury. Omarion Hampton isn't really getting many carries right now anyways. But because of the eye injury and how much Najee missed camp in first time on a new team, I wonder if Amarian kind of got forced into this a little bit earlier than he should.
but that was one of the reasons I was high on him, because like if
For sure.
all the reports on him were good, he was obviously great in college. If he comes out and he plays well the first couple of weeks, it doesn't matter once Najee's healthy. You're going to ride the hot hand if he's doing a good job, right? The problem is he didn't do a good job, so now you're going to go to the veteran, and that's what scares me. But yeah, I just think in general, I think the rookie running backs are kind of cooked. The only ones that I would consider moving in the right direction for rookie running backs are three that weren't nearly as hyped coming out of the draft from fantasy standpoint. But it's the big three I think that still have some upside is Judkins. He looked good this week for the Browns, and he's only going to get better as he cements himself as the role. He's only on the team for 3 days. Facial Tootin, who I said I think was going to win the job in Jacksonville before the season started, he's already moved up to number 2. His snap count went from 6% to 26%, and I think that's only going to keep going up because he was explosive. And then Cam Scatterbu, everyone kind of expected him to eventually win the job in New York, but it looks like he's kind of already overtaking it. So I think those are the three that I think have a chance of still being something this season. I'm sorry?
Bill, JCM.
JCM. Sure. So JCM's going to have a role for sure because of the injury to Eckler. Definitely. Yep. Yeah. So JCM would.
So basically, a lot of these rookie running backs are needing injuries to be relevant. Like basically, R.J. Harvey, Henderson, JCM, Bashan Tootin required a trade to be relevant.
Yeah, Tootin had a trade. JCM had. I think JCM would have been relevant anyway, but his expected value goes way up with the injury. But I think the ones that had the highest hype around going into the season are the ones that are doing poorly, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
And moving in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
I mean, did anybody see Ramondre Stevenson coming though? That's pretty impressive.
No, but it's because it's the same thing, right? Henderson had issues with pass blocking. They lost 15 yards on consecutive plays because of pass blocking issues. And if you can't pass block, your coach is going to pull you, especially when your coach is a guy who is a guy who cares about running backs and protecting their ground and pound team. If your running back is not doing his job, he'll pull you.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say is I don't know if Bashan Tootin will ever take the job. I think Cohen runs that split back set a lot. I think they're both going to be fantasy relevant for the rest of the year. If I knew Bigsby was getting traded, I would have probably moved this duo into the category of my Vikings and Broncos tandem running backs. I will admit some of it's influenced by Vinny, but I've always been a fan of Canales and Liam Cohen. So, I really like the Bashan Tootin situation. That if Bigsby was traded earlier, they would have moved into my must-have duo running backs. They look good.
Yeah, which I had. So that was the problem is I had Etienne and Bigsby, but in any league that I didn't get Bigsby, I got Etienne in all of them. If any league I didn't get Bigsby, I immediately went to Tootin. I think that backfield is one to get, but I don't know, dude. The Vikings and Broncos backfield look superior to the Jaguars backfields right now. But I may have been wrong about the Jaguars as a whole because I might have been wrong that Trevor Lawrence would take even a mini step forward because he has looked terrible.
Speaking of Lawrence and Cohen, did you see Liam Cohen on the sideline yelling at Lawrence, throw the ball to his chest, throw it to his effing chest? And then Trevor Lawrence does the whole wave the hand off, go away, shut up, the whole be quiet, the hand motion where you just wave someone off. I thought that was very telling. Why are you doing that publicly on a field? There's so many other ways you can handle that. Why is Liam Cohen demonstratively embarrassing Trevor Lawrence and then Trevor Lawrence demonstratively embarrassing him back? That's not a good sign. That's not we had an argument on the sideline. That's a little different in my opinion.
No, he kind of I told you last week, he kind of trashed him in discussing what was Brian Thomas's problems were in week 1. And then there's a lot of memes out there of a Jaguar with his mouth wide open and eyes bulging, and it says Brian Thomas's face going across the middle where another murder ball. And if you've watched Brian Thomas, he has a ton of drops and he's not going through the middle of the field. And I honestly think Trevor Lawrence, it's like Devontae Adams and Jimmy G right now. I don't think Brian Thomas wants to play for Trevor Lawrence.
That's fascinating. Yeah, that's what I mean. And where there's, that saying, where there's a spark, there's a fire or whatever. Wouldn't have really drawn, but now I'm watching for it. Now I'm intently looking for it, type of thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has like 8 fantasy points or 7 fantasy points on the year.
Oh,
Maybe not even.
It's not good, but finding him is not easy because he's got a very common name. There we
Alex,
go.
the funny line for you. I helped drafted Samantha's team, obviously. She's looking at her team. She won again. And she's like, why is my 4th round pick got 1 point?
Yeah, he's got 19 targets and only 5 catches. That is an abysmal catch rate.
I was like, yo, chill. Do you like Dobbins in your starting lineup? Yeah, Dobbins is good, but why did we draft Harvey? I'm like, you got to kind of draft both of them. No, we should have just not drafted Harvey and kept Dobbins. Like, it can't work like that. Please just bear with me for the whole season.
It works if you guess right. It does work if you guess right. All right, let's try to get into it here and let's do some around the league. We'll recap the league this week for the Doctors of Doom, and then after we go around the league, we'll talk about some other segments that I have planned for us. But we'll start with the biggest blowout of the week by far. Briefs and Butthead standing on the tracks and the trains coming through. The Sharks just mauled them pretty much. Luis, his team, laid the biggest goose egg of all time. My Chargers players decided not to play, but it didn't matter because going into Monday night, I had 4 guys who hadn't played and I was already up 18. Once again, that was a terrible coach because I did not believe in Javonte Williams, who's only done better. It's definitely time for him to get in the lineup, and you'll see he did going into week 3. So yeah, big blowout there. This defensive struggle, Vinny escaped with a win. For those who remember an hour ago in the intro, I called him a church mouse. The reason for that is because he squeaked past Miles. You'll notice that Miles is the one with Joe Burrow who went on IR in the first quarter there. If not, I'm pretty sure Miles wins this game handily. So, Vinny, you escaped with a W here. Yeah, just no
truly escaped. Like, anybody that watched the Texans-Bucks games, that was pretty intense. I thought for sure I was going to lose, even though, like, Burrow went down. But, hey, that's just my luck. I get Burrow the week he gets injured. Last week was Henry goes for 27 versus 2 this week. It happens, I guess. I don't know. I hate my team. I want to blow up I hate fantasy football. I never want to talk about it ever again.
Well, that's too bad because you're on a fantasy football podcast. But yeah, your team did not look good again, but you got the dub.
You got the lowest scoring points for win. Let's keep track for the rest of the year what the lowest points for win is, and we'll see.
Well, it's Miles in week 1 beating Break like 69-67. But moving on. Speaking of Break gets the dub here. Because his big brain strat of still sticking with the double Rams wide receiver lineup, this time paid off in a big way. Both Rams wide receivers popped off and brought down the dub. You mentioned Derrick Henry did not have a Derrick Henry performance this week like he did last week. So, also, Cam, if you could check your team, that'd be great. You currently have 2 running backs on IR on your bench. You have a running back who's 3rd string on his team on your bench, and Chris Godwin, who's also not going to play for at least a few more weeks. So, maybe you drop some of the guys on IR and pick up some real players, Cam. That'd be great. Moving on.
Wait, go back to Adam real quick.
Yep.
Adam, if you're listening, start Justin Herbert. If you're listening to me, please. Well, except when you play me, but start Justin Herbert. All right, go on.
Trade Vinny, Jalen Hurts. Trade Vinny, Jalen Hurts.
All right.
No, do not trade in your division.
Speaking of Miles' bad luck, not only did Burrow go on IR, Miles' backup quarterback McCarthy is also going to be out for 2 to 4 weeks. So Miles will definitely be looking for a QB off waivers this week, boys. All right, Serial Killers and Chaos. Both teams played well. Unfortunately, Serial Killers massively let down by Justin Fields. She keeps guessing wrong at QB. Once again, had she played the other QB, she would have, not lost, but tied. But Fields laid an absolute goose egg for her. And Matt had a couple players pop off. The aforementioned Chase with his 14 grabs. But yeah, good game all around. Sylvie just can't seem to guess right on the quarterback. I did mention that I did offer her a trade last week of Neighbors and Javonte Williams for CeeDee Lamb because I really like Lamb. I can't make that trade anymore. Not because I still don't like Lamb over Neighbors. I do, even though Neighbors had a massive game. I just I may be starting Javonte moving forward because I don't trust Hampton. So unfortunately for Sylvie, she wanted to wait a week and see, and now I want to wait a week and see because I need to see that Hampton doesn't just suck out loud before I roll with him.
Vinny, you see that James Cook stat line? How you feeling, buddy?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'll eat crow on that. Let's see if he can do it for the whole season. Listen, let's just put it this way: when Matt drafted James Cook over Chase Brown, I was like, "What an idiot!" And look at me, I'm like over here like fishing for scraps as I can't break 80 every week. So
Vinny, I had James Cook and Chase Brown. I'm looking at now 7th and 8th overall ranked ahead of Gibbs. So I would have probably gone Chase Brown over Cook too. So don't worry.
All right, we got another big dub here for the Avengers. Vinny tried to go 0-2. It would have been funny because we had 2-2-0s in the podcast, 1-0-2, but he got his dub. But once again, Mitchell pick up a win on the back of Lamar, but he actually had some other players play well. Well, one other player play well. Mitch, you told us you were gonna make Mark Andrews work his way back onto the roster, and yet you still started him for a whopping 0. Your backup tight end at least had 2, but it's better than nothing, right? So.
How did he get that second point? He had 1. I thought he had 1. Whatever. I must have misread that. I could have sworn he had
1 is still more than 0, though, for those doing math at home. If you want to take a look at the Mark Andrews stat line here, you'll see that he has 0 points for the season on 2 catches for 7 yards.
Does anyone want the tight end on the number 1 scoring offense in the league? Because apparently that doesn't work when he's on my fantasy team.
Apparently not.
Also, look at my wide receivers. QB gone down. Not good. Higgins and McLaurin both might be out with their, definitely Higgins, but McLaurin might also be out with his QB. Did not go well there. I don't know why I keep passing on Evans. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of passing on Evans.
You're just a big hater on my boy Baker and his weapons, honestly.
No, Alex, you got to look before the last 3 years. I took Evans almost every year for like 4 years straight. Not even joking. Like, Vinny took Antonio Brown for me, like 4 that was my guy for a while, and then you started taking him every year, including like round 1 picks, and then I started losing Evans to you. But I was a huge Evans guy, even before Tom Brady. So I just don't know why. I don't know why I keep doing this to myself.
I don't either, but you do. All right, moving on. Aussies finally had a bounce back. They did play well this week, but it wasn't well enough because the spark plugs were monsters. Both teams had somebody lay a goose egg. Sutton did nothing. Charbonnet did nothing. But the team as a whole on the spark plug side, especially Brandon Aubrey, kicking field goals for days.
20 points.
Yeah,
he
20
split
points.
the running. He started last week. He didn't start Charbonnet, right? So he's having a little trouble right now picking which running back to start because it's Pacheco week 1, and Pacheco and Charbonnet both did bad. So he's gonna have troubles picking who to start for the rest of the year between those two.
Same with Dad, but he's not gonna have trouble because Jones on IR now. But Dad started Kenneth Walker week 1. He did poorly, so he switched to Jones, and he did poorly. So
can I ask you guys a question that does not involve me whatsoever?
That's rare, but go on.
Would you guys start Nick Chubb over Kenneth Walker?
No. I think the explosive potential is there for Walker.
Yeah,
last week both of you said panic on Kenneth Walker, and I'm the one who said not yet.
Yes, and last week was also the overreactions episode, if you recall.
Gotcha.
So,
but
but you're also throwing us Nick Chubb. Like, come on, bro. Like, don't do that to us. Don't be like, oh, you said panic on Kenneth Walker. We should have taken Nick Chubb in the second round.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying right now, if you were Nolan, if your team was your team right now, would you rather have Nick Chubb or Kenneth Walker starting? Because he's got 5 wide receivers that would start for my team. He's got 5. All of them are better. He's not going to start all those wide receivers every single week unless he wants to bench Chris Sutton, which is crazy. So my question becomes is like, would Nick Chubb, scroll down, Alex, look at his wide receivers real quick.
Yeah, 1 second.
You're good. It's like he's got Addison coming back, Zay. Oh, he's got 4. Yeah, and then Sutton. So he's not going to be starting all 4. Like, if you could give up Zay, Addison, or Sutton for Chubb, would that help your team?
Zay, Addison, Sutton for Chubb. If I'm who?
So, because he's got those 4 wide receivers. So whichever one he likes the least for Chubb. Because either of those 4 is going to start for my team over McLaurin or Higgins. So if he thinks Chubb is better than Kenneth Walker,
I got 5 receivers if you want to talk, Mitch.
Okay, I'll talk to you too. Okay. But you're I don't mind helping Nolan out if it helps him win and do well. I don't know how I feel about helping you or Matt out.
I don't know. Historically, he's pretty good against you, but.
No. I'm just saying in general, if I make a trade with Nolan and it ends up doing him well, I can live with that. If I end up making a trade that helps you or Matt out, I don't know if I can live with that. So that's all why I was saying this is like, yeah, I mean, if you do like Chubb, we'll talk later, Alex. But I was asking an honest question. Like, would you guys value Chubb over Walker at all in any world? But that's fine. If you say no, then I'll leave Nolan alone.
I mean, no, but I feel like the comparison that you're using is is different. You know, like you're trying to say like, oh, is Chubb worth having a backup roster spot with Aaron Jones hurt? The answer is probably yes.
Okay, that's what I was asking because, and obviously this had everything to do with me, so it was a joke. But yeah, I was just wondering your thoughts on that. But that's cool. I need a wide receiver. If anyone's listening to this podcast and wants to offer me a wide receiver, please do.
But what are you
Especially,
offering? Are you offering like Nick Chubb?
yeah, and maybe Mark Andrews. I'm just kidding.
I didn't realize that
But
you only have
I,
three wide receivers, and
okay,
Rasheed Rice is one of them.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying is if you want to take McLaurin or Higgins from me and give me an upgrade, I'm all ears. Take Chubb and Higgins from me and give me a better wide receiver. I'm down. Anyone wants to
I'll give you
offer, please.
I'll give you Chase Brown and uh,
No, I don't need a
Garrett
running
Wilson.
back. I don't want Garrett Wilson. I don't need a running back. The only person you could offer that's worse than Garrett Wilson is like DJ Moore, AJ Brown, who are both on Luis's team, by the way,
Starting.
starting. So
God, speaking of needing wide receivers,
All right.
yeah,
Well, moving on to the next question I have for you, gentlemen. So here's a question that I thought of. So during the game last night, we were texting about Baker Mayfield and C.J. Stroud. And Mitch, you made the comment that if Stroud went to a better organization, the same way Baker did, that he too could be a superstar in this league. And that got me to thinking, there are some players who just transcend bad teams and organizations and excel anyway. Talking
for sure.
Megatron with Detroit, he was an absolute all-star even though he played in Detroit. Nick Chubb when he was with the Browns are a joke of an organization, but Nick Chubb was an absolute beast prior to his injuries, right? So the question that I have for you guys is, what other players do you think would have a major glow up if they went from a bad situation with a bad organization to a good one? And just for context, I don't mean like, oh, they're going to get better, because obviously most people are going to get better if they go from like a crappy team to a good team. What I mean is, who's going to go from like mediocre on their best day to a legit stud? Recent examples include guys like Sam Darnold, Denny Dimes, Geno Smith, basically QBs who leave New York, right? So besides QBs who leave New York, who's a guy that you're like, you know what, that guy is like medium, but man, if he was in the right situation, I could see him being an all-star.
Bryce Young.
Interesting. Bryce
Yeah.
Young, really?
I think
that's actually a great pick.
I think he can disappear for a couple years and then come back on a better situation, better franchise, or not better franchise. That's a tough way to say it, but you know what I mean. Just like a franchise more adequate, or not inept, like basically that can like surround it with. We're talking about QB coaches, game plannings, the offensive schemers, the assistant to the assistant. Just like have a total structure around a guy. Yeah, I think Bryce Young. Like Cam Newton, there's your guy. Ascended any franchise, right? There you go, Cam Newton. Imagine how Cam Newton would have been with on a different, like that's one, like, so it's like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's tough. And then maybe the other one, oh yeah, go for it a second, Vinny. I'll think for a second who I want to say.
No, I think that's, I actually had this realization when you look around the league right now. This is a fantastic question, Alex, and I just want to set the stage a little bit. Like when you look at the league and like who's doing well, and you're like, wow, these are guys that were washed. You've got Daniel Jones is playing great, Baker Mayfield playing great, Geno Smith playing great, Sam Darnold got a 3-year, $100 million contract on a new team. Like, it is pretty incredible that these quarterbacks who were drafted high, that everybody said were garbage, that everybody said were washed. You might even be able to throw Jared Goff, although he isn't like journeyman, but like the Rams like literally got rid of him. Like they traded 2 first-round picks and Goff for Matt Stafford. So it's one of these things where it's like, dang, like, are we just like too quick to judge quarterbacks? Because like these dudes have all played in playoff games. Like, it's pretty incredible to see. So I think if I had to pick somebody, it's not going to be like a popular. I mean, you could even say like Justin Fields got rid off, and maybe like he takes somebody to. I mean, he's still a starting quarterback. I'm going to say Trevor Lawrence. Like, if Trevor Lawrence was out of Jacksonville in a different system, I know he's not as sexy because he's not like washed in garbage. But if you take him out of Jacksonville, I do actually think he would thrive. Like, give Kevin O'Connell freaking Trevor Lawrence. Give Sean McVay Trevor Lawrence. I guarantee you he's a stud.
Very, very well be. But if Lawrence can't produce with Cohen, I don't know. Yeah. No, that's very
Yeah, but
interesting
it's
one.
also he's had like a new system every year, right? Like I
Yeah,
don't think giving
definitely.
him 1 year under Cohen is very fair. 2 games under Cohen is very fair.
No,
So,
for sure.
you know,
All right.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, then you can have like the opposite where it's like JJ McCarthy, if he can't succeed now, he's never succeeding.
Well, so
Uh,
interesting. You guys have all kind of focused on quarterbacks, and those are kind of the examples. Well, the first examples I gave weren't quarterbacks. Are there any skill position players that you think would have a massive glow up going to another situation?
every
uh,
single skill position player on the Miami Dolphins.
I was just gonna say I have to double down here on Tyreek Hill or Waddle. uh, could you say like imagine if Waddle had a Trevor Lawrence, or if Waddle had, you know, Baker, or any of these, like what? Like you know what I mean? Like oh my gosh. So yeah, I'd have to agree there. I'd have to double down on Tyreek.
All right, fair
Um,
enough.
I'm trying to think. That was a good question. Though. I would need more time to
I agree
prepare,
that it was
but
a good
yeah,
question. That's why I wrote it. All
yeah.
right. Well, then, if you have no more answers to the question, it's time to move on to the game. So I got a game for us here, boys. We didn't do so hot last week, and by we I mean you guys. There's a rhyming scheme, so bear with me here.
Oh
All
no.
right. We had a kind of a tale of 2 weeks, right? Last week some players were terrible. This week they were great, and vice versa. Last week they were terrible. This week they were great. So really, we're trying to find out: are they the scrub? Are they the stud? What are they? And it makes me think back to those movies in the '90s where there's like that nerdy teen who's got the glasses and the ponytail and the paint stained overalls, but then the jock tries to make her into the prom queen, and by the end of the movie she's Miss Popular. So the question is, for these people, are they the nerdy teen or the prom queen? Which one are they, Mitch? That's a rhyming scheme. Try to stay with me. So we're gonna start it
Nerdy
off with
queen or prom queen?
nerdy teen. So that's meaning they're the bad version of themselves, or prom queen, meaning they're the star version of themselves. So we're going to start with one that's kind of been someone that we've been polarized about in the past, Brees Hall. Going into the draft, we were all kind of low on him, but last week he showed out. He had 19 carries for over 100 yards and kind of changed our minds. He had over 5 yards per carry, broke the century mark. But then in week 2, he came back down to earth. He was under 3 yards per carry in week 2. So Brees Hall, nerdy teen or prom queen?
I think he's definitely the jock, the prom king. Uh,
Well, that's
I'm just kidding.
not one of them. Not
I'm
one
just
of them.
kidding. I'm just kidding. He's prom queen. Prom queen.
Okay, so you
I
think it's more week 1 than week 2 for him moving forward?
I think he's. I think yeah, but the it's the same thing. Like we can sit here and talk about Chase Brown without Joe Burrow, or other backfields without a quarterback. So Devin Achane without Tua, right? So if Justin Fields is hurt, or if their system is
Well, just for clarity,
damaged by
Fields
any
got hurt in the
means,
fourth quarter. It wasn't like he missed a lot of the game.
yeah, no, I get that. But like I'm just saying, like if their system isn't in place, I'm worried about them. But I think he's more prom queen than nerdy teen.
All right, Mitch.
Uh, oh no, Matt will appreciate this analogy. Brees Hall is the theater kid trying to play high school sports. He's at Hamlet practice, and then he's late for soccer or football or basketball practice because he's got his play rehearsal sidle that bleeds into the actual team sport practice. Now this is a nerdy teen with pimples who wants to be a jock. This is not even close. And you know me, like, yeah, this is not. This guy is the wannabe jock, but really he's Othello in Hamlet. Matt's gonna kill me on this one.
All right, fair enough. Moving on to the next one on the list here. I got a bunch of these. So I'll try to power through them. Next up, Russell Wilson. Last week we talked about how the coach wanted to bench him. Let's get rid of this guy. And after 2 weeks, he now leads the NFL in passing yards. Now, again, Dallas may not be a great defense, but they held the Eagles to only 101 yards passing. So, nerdy teen or prom queen Russell Wilson?
Um,
Nerdy teen. I don't know. It's below nerdy teen. It's like nerdy teens like sidekick who they don't even like.
have you guys seen Young Sheldon?
I have not, but go on.
Yeah.
This is like when young Sheldon uses math to make the high school football team do well. So like Russell's gonna have certain times where he can like produce, but he's the ultimate nerdy teen who shouldn't be there.
All right, sounds like you guys are out on Russell Wilson. Fair enough. Moving on, we talked about this guy last year with our rhyming scheme. We'll keep him in here. Jameer Gibbs, and honestly, most of the Lions team in general, but we're going to use Gibbs as our example. Week 1, he had 19 touches for only 29 yards, versus Week 2, he went down to 15 touches, but he had 104 yards. So we talked about Week 1, how he had no explosivity. Week 2, he could not have been more explosive. Which is it? Is he the nerdy teen of the prom?
This is the prom king who doesn't have grades to go to prom. So
What does that even mean?
voted the prom king, but he just can't be there to accept the award yet. He's close. He's there. He's almost the prom king. He just can't accept the award. He's right there. He's so close. Just got to get a little bit better grades, buddy. Maybe you should have paid attention in English class on that book report, and then you could go in front of everyone in front of your high school and be prom king. But right now, you have to sit at home and hear your name being read as prom king because you're almost there. You're almost the prom king.
All right.
I just got to the dance. Who are we voting for on this one?
Jameer Gibbs.
Oh, that's prom queen. I'm a big Gibbs fan. I think they're going to bounce back. The offense looked good.
Okay.
It
fair
is
enough.
interesting that they're using Montgomery so much, but yeah, I think he's going to get his.
Even me.
All right, we'll stick with another top tier running back. Derrick Henry, Week 1 looked like an absolute world beater. Week 2 looked like he was an old man. Week 1, 19 totes, 182 yards. Week 2, 11 for only 23. The game script was similar both games. They had a big lead for most of both those games. So what do you guys think?
Oh, this is ultimate jock prom king. Like this is the Sean Merriman in high school.
Oh, there's Mitch getting it wrong again.
Or the prom queen. I said prom king. He's King Henry. I got to play on words here. Sean Marion in high school wasn't allowed to play half his games past halftime for fear of safety of the other team. It's a true story. Look it up. So this is King Henry this week. We got to take Henry out, just fear of the safety of the other team. Okay, we don't want to. The Browns are already getting beaten up the whole year. We don't need King Henry to come out here and just start injuring and hurting everyone and making them look even worse than they need to be. Okay, we can work on Lamar Jackson's MVP year, give him some more stats. Blah blah blah. We're gonna hold King Henry and wait for when we actually need him. No, this is ultimate jock King Queen Henry.
Yeah, I mean, I think prom queen for sure. I think like we talked about defenses. I think the Browns defense might actually just be that good. Like, look what I know they gave up points, but they didn't give up a ton of yards to the Ravens. There's a defensive touchdown in there. So I think the Browns defense is good. They just are going to be floundering all year because of how bad their offense is. So Henry will be just fine.
Henry's not just the prom queen. He's like the absolute cool kid on campus. Like,
yeah, I mean, if you think he's a nerdy teen, send me some trade offers. I'll take him.
Who's got him? Cameron. If you think he's a nerdy teen, I'll take that nerdy teen any day of the week.
I will still trade you Christian McCaffrey straight up for him. So
I'll do Jonathan Taylor for him as well. So I'll run a roster this year with Lamar and Derrick Henry. I have no problem.
All right. Fair enough. Moving along here, let's go on to one that might be a little more challenging than coming into the season. Drake London. Week 1, he had 15 targets. Week 2, he had 4. Now, he didn't have great stats either way, but the volume difference is massive. So, Drake London, nerdy teen, prom queen.
I'm going to be biased, like prom queen. Like the guy, if you look at his history with Penix, he gets a lot of targets, he gets a lot of yards. I still think he's really good at football. I think he's a prom queen. I mean, they were up kind of the entire game, and they ran the ball a ton. Didn't both Bijan and Algier have 100 yards rushing? I can't remember, but I think he's going to be fine. I think they're going to normalize a little bit. Like, he's going to get back to his double-digit targets. Eventually, he's going to score a touchdown. He's going to have a 100-yard game. I think he's fine. Prom queen.
I think this is prom queen, without naming any names from high school. This is the prom queen, really good-looking girl who's dating the weird guy. It's like, why is she dating him? That's Drake London right now. He's dating the wrong QB for a second, but things might turn around.
I like how Mitch has taken my metaphor and created an entire world around it. He's got an entire high
I love
school
it.
going.
I said to myself before this, I was like, how can I just exaggerate and exasperate this segment to make Alex annoyed? So I'm like, the only thing I can do is make stupid stories out of each situation because I can't mess up the rhyme scheme without you yelling at me. So I'm just going to. Yeah.
This is basically Mitch's high school career. Just that's
Oh, I
Mitch is
wasn't.
Drake.
If
Mitch,
you take the name I was naming, this is definitely a Palm Desert girl and one of our friends. Okay, super popular, super good looking. Everyone likes her, and it's like, wait, she's dating who now? Wait a second. No, you need to go back to dating the really cool, popular jocks.
I mean, I disagree with that statement, but I agree
Because
with.
he's our best friend, one of our best friends.
All right.
I also think that was a huge glow up on the previous choices.
Okay, maybe true. In
All right,
hindsight.
we're gonna move on here. These two I'm gonna lump together because we kind of had the same discussion last week. Justin Fields and Aaron Rodgers. Week 1 they look like MVP caliber players. Week 2 I wouldn't want them on my arena football team. So what's the deal here, guys?
Wait, so who? Sorry, I was trying so hard not to laugh in the mic. I had the
Nerdy
what?
teen. I don't think either one
Justin
of them.
Fields and Aaron Rodgers. These are two guys that last week looked like they could be MVPs. This week, I wouldn't want to start them on my arena football team.
Yeah, I don't think either one of them are going to be top half of the league moving forward.
Didn't Rodgers have a 2 red zone drop that turned into interceptions? Like one was in and out of the hands of Freiermuth, right? And got dropped and then a touchdown. That puts him over the 24 mark 2 weeks in a row. I don't know. I'm obviously very biased. I'd be trying to go to prom with Rodgers, so let's be real here. I wouldn't care if he was a nerdy teen or the jock.
You would.
Yeah, Fields I've been out on forever. Like I think Fields saved his ability to start past week 8 by having that week 1 against the Steelers because I think week 2 is much closer to his stat line than week 1. So Fields is the ultimate nerdy teen who thinks he has a chance at prom queen, or she thinks he has a chance at prom queen, but you're just not developed yet, bro. You're still a 14-year-old, 13-year-old nerdy teen, and the people going for prom queen are 18-year-old developed women. So Fields can get out of the picture here. Rodgers is like what was that running back's name in your high school that was like 22, or Palm Springs, Vinny, that you had to play against that was like 22 years old in high school?
Oh,
23.
AJ Scott.
Yes, that's Rodgers. He shouldn't be prom king because he's 23 years old at high school. So neither of them are prom king, but Fields is definitely the nerdy nerd for sure.
All right, we got another twofer coming up, and this is going to be around the Seahawks backfield. We have Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. So Zach Charbonnet, just to show you the stats here, 12 carries for 47 and a touch week 1, so 4-yard average, got a touchdown. 15 carries for only 10 yards week 2, so he still had the bulk of the carries, but only 10 yards on 15 totes is awful. Kenneth Walker was the opposite scenario. Week 1, he only had 10 carries for 20 yards, so a 2-yard average. But week 2, he had 13 carries for $105, and he got in the end zone. So clearly a tale of 2 weeks for these two guys. One having a decent week followed by a horrendous week. The other having a horrendous week followed by a great week. So for these two guys, which is it, boys?
So for me, this one's tough because this one I'm trying to give credit to which podcast I was running, but like that Kubiak system is going to be scripted 50-50 no matter what for the first half, and then I think he's just going to ride the hot hand of that game. I don't think Kubiak even knows in the second half which running back he's going to give the plays to. I think he's going to literally watch the first half and be like, boom, he looks better, and go with him in the second half. So I don't know how to diagnose this one. This one's extremely tough.
I think these are, to take a page out of Mitch's book, the twin sisters who are like kind of pretty but not that pretty that somehow got voted on they're like on the prom queen ballot, and you're like, I kind of like both of them, but like what are they doing here? Like they shouldn't be up, like, and then they're just going to pull votes away from each other. So I don't really want to categorize them and like they're like in the middle. I would want them, but I don't want to be the one that has to make the decision between them every week.
Very, very
So,
true. Have you seen Not Another Teen movie recently, or just any time in the last decade or whatever?
no,
There's a
not
part.
recently.
There's a part where they're making a bet where the popular jock guy, what's his name, Captain America, has to pick the next person to make prom queen, and they're going through the list of girls, and one of them was twins joined at the head or whatever. He's like, no, too easy. It can't be her. And they had to pick a girl with glasses and a ponytail or whatever. And that's what she just reminded me of.
Yeah,
Charbonnet and Walker are
that's
the Siamese twins from Not Another
Oh, no.
Not Another Teen movie.
Put together, they make one hot chick.
Thank you, Alex. I knew it. I knew you would know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But together,
and
they're one hot chick.
they have one boyfriend, and they alternate who gets to make out with the boyfriend.
You have to pick Janie or whatever.
You guys are making this super awkward. All right,
glasses and a ponytail.
I'm not the one that was talking about undeveloped 13-year-olds versus developed 18-year-olds. So.
Yeah, I realize in hindsight that was not a good analogy.
Come on, 13-year-old, you have no chance.
I mean, it happens. There's always that.
Alex, next question. We gotta get past that topic.
All right, next question. Yeah. Marvin Harrison Jr. Week 1, 5 grabs for 71 and a touch. Week 2, 2 grabs for 27 against what was a terrible Panthers defense. So Marvin Harrison Jr. Nerdy teen, prom queen.
This one stings me. I am like such a Marvin Harrison truther. I think he's so good at football, but I watched a lot of that game. I have to say nerdy teen for 2 reasons. One, I don't think him and Kyler are a good pair. But 2, he had a pretty routine drop on about a 15-yard out route, and all he had to do on one of the fades was actually he tried to receive it into his chest. If he high points it, it's a touchdown. So it's I said this all last year. I'm like, oh, well, if he just catches some of those red zone targets, he's actually really good. And I was targeting him this year. He just actually might not be that good, especially in that system. So I'm going to have to say nerdy teen, and that really hurts because I want him to be good.
I think I said a week or 2 ago on this podcast, especially when we were discussing Chris's team before the season, I don't think Marvin Harrison is that good in this system. Again, this is 100. I believe it has no diagnosis of Marvin Harrison. It's the system. They do not run. If you look at all the next gen stats about the yards ran on each of the routes, what type of routes they run, blah, 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 the completion percentage of Murray and all these things that does not bode well for wide receivers in that system. And it's you look at Michael Wilson or something in the last 4 years or since that system's been in place since Kingsbury left or whatever, was it 3 or 4 years now? Michael Wilson's the number, and he finished, I think, 18th wide receiver or whatever. So, you come in and you bring in a stud. Everyone's like, okay, things will change with Marvin Harrison. I don't think Marvin Harrison running the Michael Wilson routes can produce a top 12 fantasy wide receiver. That's all I'm trying to say. Marvin Harrison, go back to what we said earlier, Alex. There's my answer that I wanted to take and think about. That's the guy who needs to be on a different team, different franchise, different system, and will be elite all of a sudden. I should have said him.
And I think you could take either. I think if you just split the Lions running backs or Gene T, you split any of those guys. There's so many choices now that we've had time to process, but Marvin Harrison is a phenomenal answer.
Yeah. But so to answer your question, so Alex doesn't explode, nerdy teen.
No, I this one is way harder than the last one. I purposely made a little, but I did spend some time I need a rhyming scheme here. All right, last one, guys. Tucker Kraft, week 1, 2 catches, 16 yards. Week 2, 6 grabs for $124 and a touch. Which one is Tucker Kraft?
I'll go be quick on this one. I've said this many times like a broken record. I'd never look at the names of tight ends. I don't care where you were drafted, what talent you have. It does not matter to me. The only thing that matters to me is what? That you have to be a top 2 player on your team in targets. If you're not top 2 in team on targets, does not matter name, talent, team, position, whatever. You're all the same to me. Find me a tight end who's top 2 in team in targets, and you have a great tight end. Not only is Kraft solidified probably as the number, he might be number 1 on that team. Especially with what's his name?
With Jaden Reed breaking his collarbone, yeah.
Yeah. So this is like
because this is the game where Jaden Reed broke his collarbone, and you'll notice that Jaden Reed is not on the chart here.
I looked it up because I was pretty I was playing against Chris and upset that I spotted him 18 points on Thursday Night Football. the last time the Packers had a tight end go over 100 yards was 2017 Jimmy Graham.
It's been a minute.
So what?
I said so. It's been a minute.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, I think you said, wait a minute. I
No.
apologize. Yeah, so it's
So
been a
did I,
minute.
so did I.
So I heard, I thought you said, wait a minute. I was like, what did I do? Oh, what did I say? So yeah, let's go back to the analogy and how I can ruin the analogy. This is like
Do we have
the
to,
sophomore,
though? You could just answer the question.
the sophomore kid who had that growth spurt over the summer, or like Vinny, who we used to wrestle because we were like the same weight and height. Then all of a sudden, one summer came back and was like 55 pounds bigger than he is. I'm like, well, I'm not wrestling Vinny anymore. That's Tucker Kraft. He went away over the summer, worked out with his father, did a bunch of creatine, and came back. And I'm like, I'm not fucking with that dude no more. So that's Tucker Kraft, the prom king.
Cyto gainer for the win, baby.
Cyto gainer for the win. Pre-alkaline, bro.
I know you took it. You took it too.
Oh, 100%. I'm just having fun with the jokes. 100%. Pre-alkaline,
No, it was perfect.
baby.
That was a perfect
Yeah.
analogy. Yeah.
I went with Matt first, then I went with Austin as a joke, then I went with you. I'm trying to ruin Alex's segment, but involve our league.
I think Kraft is super difficult. It's almost like having like Mark Andrews, or who's another like good offense that we can kind of relate to. Maybe like Zach Ertz. I feel like Kraft is going to have his weeks depending on what the Packers need to do. And sometimes they're super run heavy and sometimes they're pass heavy. So I think you saw what you're going to get. You're like, oh yeah, she deserves to be on the podium. But, I'm looking at it and I just don't know if they're as good as the others. So prom queen, but I'm voting for a different person.
So wait,
So they're in the running, but you're voting for someone else.
Potential prom queen, but when you stand Kraft on stage next to the other candidate, it looks like a nerdy teen, is what you're saying.
More homecoming court
Basically.
than prom queen is
Okay.
what you're saying.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm
All right,
nominating
cool.
them to the court.
All right, fair enough. Okay, so those are most. I might have a couple more, but we're running low on time, so let's move on to the reason I asked you guys to record this on Tuesday instead of Wednesday. Let's talk waivers. We're not going to talk about them in DoD because that'd be a little too close to home, but we will talk about them in this league, which is our podcast league, the Doctors of Doom. We're now 1-1. Picked up a dub this week, but you'll notice our QB slot's empty, and that's because he's down here on the IR list. Our quarterback, Joe Burrow. So we're going to need a quarterback for sure, guys, and we're going to need to pick up some other players as well. Obviously, I think we should drop Hawkinson. I didn't think we should draft him. I thought we should drop him last week. We definitely need to drop him this week. So we can drop him for somebody, in my opinion. And Joe's on IR, so we got one open spot. So are you guys cool with that as far as who to drop? And then we'll start looking at who's available?
Sure.
I would also throw out Pacheco as a drop candidate, but if tight ends are just less valuable, which I understand, I will defer to the group. But Pacheco has looked awful.
He has, but he's
So
gotten 10
I'm-
touches a game, whereas Hawkins has gotten 2.
Generally, in these 10-man leagues, in these money leagues, like the top tight ends are obviously taken. So as long as we're not giving up, we're talking about. Can you repeat the question? Dropping either Hawkinson or Pacheco, right? Is that the question?
I didn't consider dropping him.
Yeah.
I want to drop Hawkinson. Hawkinson was
Then let's drop
bad week
Hawkinson.
1 and
I'm good
worse
with
week
that.
2.
Oh, I don't think even if he has a good week 3, I don't even know if we're picking him up after the extra next week. Wouldn't we be like he needs to have a couple good weeks with the new QB? I don't know. It's like we probably wouldn't even be starting Hawkinson for at least a couple weeks. He
I
has
mean,
to
I
show
think
it
we're
to
just
us
rolling
first.
with Juwan Johnson at this point.
Yeah, I honestly
Yeah.
think Dwan Johnson's upside is much better, and in these leagues, holding 2 tight ends is kind of bad.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Okay,
call it
so who
stupid,
we-
but
All right. Well, so we'll look at
Who can we
quarterbacks
pick?
first because
Yeah.
we definitely need a quarterback because our only
we
quarterback.
definitely need a quarterback.
Daniel Jones. I want Danny Dimes.
Yeah. So
Miles, are you paying attention to this part of the podcast?
yeah. So
Just
this
kidding.
Miles paid attention. So I think we're all in agreement. We have to like Danny Dimes has been special. Like this could fall apart at any time. We have to make a play for him, right?
Yeah.
All right. So the first one's obvious.
agree.
We're gonna add Danny Dimes, and then let's.
The only one I would say above Daniel Jones is because I'm biased is if I didn't get one of the 4 tiers, as everyone likes to say it, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow.
You wanted Jordan
Jayden
Love.
Daniels, I wanted Jordan Love. So I would say
You want Toyota?
I would say Toyotathon, and then we can drop them after November, right? Or is it October? I forget.
Well, we
after
could hedge our
October.
bets. We could pick up both of them because we could just drop Hawkinson for Love as well, right?
Yeah, and then who's
Because
the
we
other person
moved
we're
Burrow to
dropping?
that.
Well, I
Are we
mean,
trying to
there's
is
no
there
other
other
quarterback we're really interested in, right? So, other than
Stafford
are we
isn't
interested
bad.
in Jake Browning at all?
No, I'd rather have Stafford than Browning.
Okay, so we like Love then.
I personally would have taken Love, but we are on a team with three other managers, so if I get outvoted, I'm totally fine with this scenario of
I have like Daniel Jones as 1A and Love as 1B.
Okay.
And let's put it this way, Love is probably the safer long-term option than Daniel Jones, but like do you want to be the guy that misses on Daniel Jones?
yeah, and it really bothers me that no one took Darnold last year until like week 7 or 8. So it's like, let's not make that mistake again. Maybe
Well, I
some
mean, we
QBs
may have
can
already made it
have.
waiting to week 3. We'll see. All right. So then,
That's true.
those are the quarterbacks we're going to go for. Let's see if there's any other players that we're interested in, or if we just
Yo,
want to go.
Anarchy has both number one wide receivers. Go back real quick. Good job, Anarchy. Holy hell. Well done.
All right. Let's go to all available players here. So as far as free agents that are available, Wandale Robinson, I think that's more of a PPR play, but this is a half point PPR league. But we're all kind of in agreement that we're not going to see this every week from Russell
Or the
No.
Wilson.
stability, or the stability at QB. Like, how are we going to even know what Wandale is with the three different QBs that are going to start over the next seven weeks?
He's only here because he caught some touchdowns. I think Troy Franklin, he's had one terrible game, one good game, so maybe there's something there. I'm not sure.
Look at Hawkins' stats real quick, Alex. It's so bad.
Yeah, he's got 2 grabs.
Two targets, two receptions, and then what? 50%
Well,
of
he's
his
got
runs
100%
are
catch rate
TDs.
though. You got to give him that 100% catch rate.
He's 50% of his
I
catches a
like
week are TDs.
in a
Sorry.
deeper league like this, I do like Troy Franklin. Like somebody has to step up in the Broncos offense, and he out snapped Marvin Mims. I think he played like 82% of the snaps last week. I like if someone needs to step up, like Troy Franklin has the most upside of this list.
Sure. Well, I was gonna
If,
say
if
so. Another option would be Hunter Renfro. This is what he did last week, but he's gonna be end zone dependent. I feel like.
Also, that was very situational because they were down like 25 points in the second quarter, so they just started throwing it the whole rest of the game. I don't know if, yeah, sorry. Go on.
I was just I'm just going over options for people that are. This isn't
Okay,
just for
cool.
us discussing who we want to pick up. It's more for like people that are also looking for waiver help. Another option, Romeo Dobbs. Because of the injury to Jaden Reed, someone is going to have to be the guy.
Second in targets. Yeah.
I don't know that it's going to be him necessarily, but it could be.
I think the problem with the Packers is we've been trying to figure out that answer for like 4 years.
Yeah.
Is it Jaden Reed? Is it Dobbs? Is it Wicks? Is it Golden? Is it Watson? Is it Kraft? I don't want anything to do with Packers personally, Packers wide receivers that haven't taken that step above. And, I think LaFleur is like famous for saying, I've got 5 wide receiver ones. I don't want that. I want someone to be the alpha. I wouldn't risk Dobbs if that's, I would try to stay away from that offense unless it was like really slim pickings on the waiver wire.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. Also, I would not do the Kayshawn. Did you see like 2 of his grabs in that touchdown grab? That's an impossible catch and grab, and like that was some. I don't know if you can repeat some of the stuff Kayshawn Booty is doing right now. So maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it'll get easier for him. But like Kayshawn Booty is like had to do some of the toughest catches I've seen for a brand new wide receiver. So yeah, I don't know. I think also
All I know is
Dobbs.
shout out to Alex for third and Allen, third and Keenan.
Third and Keenan. Yeah. I'm that's one of the ones this year where I'm going,
You're hating on
why?
Captain Third Down. I mean, what's going on here?
No. I'm saying like I'm going back and wondering why I didn't have stock in Allen in any of my leagues. Like,
I'm going back and
this is
wondering.
one of the-
So full disclosure, I have Keenan Allen in almost every redraft league except for ours, where I'm like, man, I'm gonna take McConkey early. So just shoot me now. Anyway, so it sounds like Troy Franklin's the only one we're really interested in here, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, for me, truthfully.
There's also Io
yeah,
Manor
that's so weird.
for the Titans. Thank you. Got there. Io Manor seems
This
to
is
be the
also
number
one
one
of those
target.
things where like, sorry, Alex, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like Addison and Jackson Smith and the Jigba, to say for a couple last year, didn't really merge as the one till weeks 5, 6, 7, 8, because Metcalf and others were their top guys. But then obviously Jefferson's still top. But I'm saying like a lot of, I think over the next, if you were just listening to this, as a listener for fantasy, it's like you can take a stab at some of these guys and hope they eventually do become it. But it's just so hard right now for me to just like be like this guy, or this guy. But in like 3 or 4 weeks from now, we might look at the same list if you screenshot it, and we might be back and be like, why the hell did we not grab Hunter Renfro or something like that? I could totally see that, or Romeo Dobbs or whatever, or Rashid Sheed. So it's like, yeah, if you want to try and grab one of these guys now, there's nothing against it, but don't be shocked if they're just absolutely terrible. I don't know if I explained that well. I'm just saying I think it's going to take like a month longer for some of these wide receivers to pan out or to know, you know what I mean, who
No,
to
I
get
get
and
what
who
you're saying.
not.
All right, but yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So it sounds like the only one that anyway, Io Manor I think is potential, but I think the only one that we're really interested in might be with Troy Franklin. And then let's take a look at running backs. Any running backs here? Ramondre Stevenson's available in this league. Do we want to pick that up?
Probably.
Looks like Ramondre, Algier, White, Cam Scadaboo. I think there's four running backs here that all have some play, with Ramondre being the one with the most play, in my opinion.
White might have the most upside to an injury, though. It's pretty interesting.
Right, but Ramondre's already the starter. He doesn't need an injury.
Yeah. Algier is also massive, massive. So, like, I don't think any of those three guys are available in our DoD league. I could
No,
be
they're
wrong,
not. But this is a 10-team half-point PPR league, so
Yeah.
it's going to be different.
So I will say with Ramondre, that's tough. I know he's not injury dependent. I'm looking here. He's played 65% of the snaps. He had 11 carries for 54 yards, and he had 5 catches for 90 yards last week. So against the Miami Dolphins off defense, it's terrible. It's one of those, like, I think he's the safer bet now, but he's not injury dependent. But you would assume that Henderson will get a little bit better, and then it's going to be 60%, 55%, and 50%,
Right.
and 45% of the snaps, where I don't know. I think he's the safest pick for now. But if I'm looking at this list, I'm like, wow, Scatabo has upside. Rashad White, Blake Corum, like these guys that are already getting touches in really good, and like especially like Corum and Rashad, like in really good offenses. That they're that guy that can take a step. Ramondre's only going to lose. All these other guys have the potential to go more.
Yeah, I could, again, that's why this team's so much fun because I can get outvoted and then who cares and it's fun. But I think I'd have it reverse order. I'd go Scattaboo first, White second, Algier third, Stevenson fourth.
Really? So you don't
Yeah.
like the guy who's actively getting the carries?
No, but I think Vinny's right. And over the next month, he's going to go down to whereas Algier and White aren't going to go down any farther and they can only go up. They don't have to go up. You're right. I agree. And same with Scattaboo, but I think there's more of a potential of like I mean our running backs are Barkley and remind me again. I apologize.
So if we go to our
Chase Brown?
team here,
Achane.
it's Barkley and
We have
Achane,
Achane, Barkley, and
but our third string wasn't our third string. Oh no, that was a different league. How do I?
ETN.
Oh, my team. Yeah, Etienne, thank you. Who might lose the job to Tootin at some point, and then Pacheco, who we all kind of agree is garbage.
Yeah.
So on
This
Mitch's point, Scatabo already had 52% of the snaps, 11 carries, and he only had 2 receptions, but he's had every single goal line and red zone carry for
Right.
that team so far.
Yeah,
So
I think
like
I'd do Scattaboo first.
that's the upside you're looking at versus the others. And let's look at what was Rashad White's snap percentage? 31% of the snaps, 10 carries, 2 catches. That's a little bit more risky. That's very injury dependent. But
Yeah, I don't like the White play. That White got a touchdown, so his stats look better. But Bucky Irving had more carries and he had 70-something yards rushing yesterday. Like Bucky Irving's fine.
Yeah. Um. Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
tough.
I'm assuming you want Stevenson, Alex. I would be. It's a coin flip for me, Stevenson or Scatabo.
I would do Stevenson if Alex wants Stevenson. I'm fine with either. I think it's good. It's going to be hard to tell the difference between those 4 guys. Well, maybe you're right about White because he's not really getting any percentages of plays right now. It's just kind of more of an injury. But yeah, I don't think anyone could know the correct answer between those 3. So I'd be fine with any of them. I'm just saying if you
I
like
have.
made me guess because it's a podcast and we have to, you know what I mean? So that's all. But
Are
yeah,
we
I think
are
Stevenson
we
could easily
putting in
beat
a
them.
waiver claim for one of them?
Well, that's what I'm asking, guys. So what do you guys want to do? We're on the same team here.
How about this? Can we leave it up to the wheel of destiny?
Or we just grab 2 QBs and drop Hollywood Brown.
I would rather grab 2 quarterbacks, to be honest, than draft Hawkinson.
I just think it's a mistake
and-
to leave a starting NFL running back on waivers.
True. All right, let's do Stevenson and drop Hollywood Brown. I'm down with that.
Well, we can still drop Hawkinson, I think, right?
Yeah, we can draw Hawkinson.
Oh, I see.
Right?
I see. But you're saying if we get both quarterbacks, are we gonna?
Yeah.
Do we want 2 quarterbacks as well?
I mean, we're dropping Burrow,
I'm
right?
cool dropping Hollywood for Stevenson and getting a second quarterback for Hawkinson.
That's what I'm thinking. Is we're dropping Burrow and Hawkinson for 2 QBs, and then we're dropping Brown for Ramondre.
Well, we get to add one person for free, but yeah, okay. So we're.
Oh wait, we could add one person for free because Burrow does not cost. I forgot that. You're right. So then 2 QBs and keep Brown or keep Hawkinson.
I think
I'm confused.
keeping Hawkinson is a waste of space, guys. He shouldn't have been drafted.
Yeah.
I was off
Yes,
him
drop him.
before the season, and he's even worse now. Unless Carson Wentz comes in and is a world beater, Hawkinson has 0 fantasy value.
Okay, so we're dropping.
I think we drop. I think we drop both of them.
Yeah, we're dropping Hawkinson for Ramondre Stevenson. Then we're adding a QB for free, and then now our decision is: are we going to add a second QB for Hollywood Brown? Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
and I agree with that.
And do we want
So
to put
that's
in
what-
other waiver claim, like, do the whole like we're
Yeah,
going to
let's-
drop 17 different.
Well, let's put another quarterback on the list, and for Hawkinson or for Brown as well. But just in case we don't get one of these, like right now we can't get both Daniel Jones and Jordan Love because it's just a free spot. So we should put another waiver in, dropping Hollywood Brown for one of those guys, so we can try to get both.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to drop Hollywood Brown over, say, a Calvin Ridley?
I would. I don't.
For me,
I don't-
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think Ridley's. I think Ridley's getting an unfair shake right now.
I mean, Hollywood Brown caught every pass thrown his way last week, and you guys keep saying this is
For
just 'cause
30
of-
yards.
Right, but you keep talking about how they played the 2 hardest passing defenses. Well, if that's the case, shouldn't we wait and see what it looks like against the Giants if
Okay.
he's the wide receiver 1?
Hypothetical. Past week 6, are we ever starting Hollywood Brown? Are we starting Hollywood Brown over Keenan Allen? No. Are we starting him over Etienne? No.
If this week Hollywood Brown goes out and has 10 targets and catches 9 of them for 100 yards and a touchdown, I think we'd strongly consider him over Keenan Allen.
Well, Worthy's come back, and then Rice eventually. I just
Yeah,
don't think
and then
that-
past
And T. Higgins
week
might
6.
might be on the bench.
that's interesting.
Yeah. But I hate to do this. I actually have to run. So
Yeah, we gotta
I
wrap this
trust
up soon,
Whatever
but-
happens.
But just for
I-
clarity, you guys, you want 2 QBs. We got to figure out who we're dropping here. So you guys want to drop Hollywood Brown. We could also drop Pacheco for one of the running backs. I don't like that so much, but you guys want to drop Pacheco. But okay, you want to.
I would rather drop Hollywood personally. But if you're against it, then I'm cool with what we currently have.
I
in
would
the
be
system.
okay with just getting one quarterback for now, and then if next week, we need to pick up a second quarterback, we can. It's up to you guys.
Yeah, but I don't know
Okay,
if
that's
those
fair.
quarterbacks are going to be available to whereas, like, I don't know if I'm comfortable with a team of Daniel Jones and Hollywood Brown versus Daniel Jones and Love.
Okay.
But I could be outvoted.
No, that's fair enough. All right, we'll make the. Well, I'll put through the waiver request, guys. All right, I will. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Any final thoughts?
There also might be a chance, Alex, we don't even get Daniel Jones this week off of waivers.
Oh, no, I know. Yeah, I'm well aware. Yeah, I got to put in a bunch
Yeah.
more claims, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think the fantasy season is off and running. I think it's always super interesting who ends up being in the top 12. I think, I know last year we talked about, who has staying power in the top 24 and who doesn't. I'd love to revisit that after next week to see if the league normalizes a little bit, because I guarantee the top 24 running backs and wide receivers right now is not what we all expected.
Also, I think Miles just dropped Joe Burrow and McCarthy. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
On the league.
When we were playing Prom Queen and Nerdy Teen, and I was like, wait, who are we voting for? Is because I was looking at the roster grid and saw that Miles had 0 quarterbacks, and I was like, what?
Oh, poor guy. It's week 3. Poor guy.
All right, boys and girls, we're going to wrap it up there. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Say peace, everybody.
Bye.
Peace.